Coming up on the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show,
we're going to talk about some free and cheap ways you can build your soil,
as well as what you need to know before you buy your seeds.
And then we have author and herbalist, medicinal plant expert, and forager, Lisa Rose.
And your garden questions with our garden answers. All that starts right now. It is the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, whether on WNOV 860 AM or FM 106.5 in the city of Milwaukee, the TuneIn app, the Simple Radio app, My Tuner app, podcast replay, and studio video replay, or anywhere in between. I am your host, Joy Barrett. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, and gardening partner,
Holly Barrett.
Live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We're so happy that you have joined us. Our website is the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. It contains now over 1,100 plus garden videos, short and long format, in-studio video replay of Season 1 and Season 2 as it's added, as well as podcast form of the programs as well. And we're adding weekly garden content. If you want to be part of the program, there's a number of ways in which you can do that. And Ivy Organics 3-in-1 Plant Guard Hotline is one of those.
Ivy Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard naturally protects plants against damaging sunburn, insects, and rodents, protects newly installed plants and trees, shields pruned and damaged surfaces. For use on your roses, fruit, and nut trees, ornamental trees, and shrubs, this product is non-toxic, environmentally safe, and organic. For more information, visit ivyorganics.com. You can call in to 414-444-5250 with your questions and comments during the show.
And you always can send us an email at twvgshow@gmail.com, or you can tweet us using hashtag TWVG, or at TWVG Show is our Twitter handle. And if you want to sign up for a weekly email that comes out every Monday morning, you can certainly do that by just tweeting TWVG to 345-345, and we can get you set up that way. Well, in the haste of last week, and everything that was going on with the first show, we forgot to welcome those who were listening from our talk at the Slinger Public Community Library, I believe it is, up there. We spoke on basics of seed starting on the 27th of February. And also we want to welcome those who are listening from the Franklin Public Library who were there, where we did our basics of seed starting talk last Tuesday.
And when we were walking to the station, somebody said, "Hey, the vegetable show," and we said yes, and they waved to us. So, yeah, whoever that is, hello to you.
Yes. And we will be doing another basics of seed starting talk this Tuesday at West Allis Public Library from 7 to 8 p.m. So if you want to participate in that, that's just one of dozens of talks that we have in the Milwaukee area. So to find out more of where we will be, where you might be able to come see us, you can find it under the Come See Us tab on our website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com.
I like here on the on our notes that you put my name in between apostrophes, like that's allegedly my name. My name is allegedly Holly Barrett.
Well, so we're still working on that. I got an I-team investigation on that one right there. So just so if you see us today, we will be in the St. Patrick's Day Parade representing WNOV as well as the garden, the radio show here. So we'll be in the parade. If you see us, give us a wave. We'll wave back at you. That'll be an exciting thing for us. We've got a jam-packed show, which we always do, and we want to address some things here. When it comes to gardening, obviously, if you can spend as much money as you want on gardening as you choose to. Just like car collecting. If you want to buy $1 million car from an auction, yeah, you can do that. But we want to try to make this as economically and affordable as possible. There is some startup expense. Yeah, anything you do, whether car collecting, auto repair, golf, model, plane flying, you got to spend some money to get into the program. Same thing with gardening. You're just not going to go out and dig a little tiny hole in the yard and throw some seeds in. Everything's going to be fine. There is some upfront expense, but there is some ways to do it on the cheap and even free to build your soil. Now, if you're growing in containers, you're growing in raised beds, then you're 99.9% of the time you're starting with very good soil because you're bringing that soil and you're bringing that compost in to fill those items with the good enriched soil. those soils, those containers, those devices do get depleted of nutrients because you continue to grow food out of them. So we have to rebuild that as well as traditional ground. So we're going to talk about some of the ways in which you can do this on the cheap and the free. And Holly knows me better than anybody that if I can find a way to do something for free, make it my own, or get it on the cheap, that I will do that.
Definitely.
Yeah. And most times it turns out pretty good.
I'm not saying it doesn't.
Okay. All right.
Just sometimes the process is interesting. So anyway, soil is the life of your garden, whether in containers, raised beds, or the ground. And actually, it took us a few years to realize this. I told Joey this, but he didn't. Right. Who didn't believe me?
Yeah, I know.
So anyway, we had to learn this.
I've been wrong a couple of times.
Yeah,
okay.
So we had to learn this, and especially Joey, because he thought that you had to feed the plants or something. I'm not really sure.
Well,
but
on a farm, on a big agricultural landscape, you're not really feeding the soil. You're putting supplements in the soil to feed the plants to get them through that season. You continue to feed the plants, not the soil. So it's in the inorganic world, it's kind of backwards. You're feeding plants and not the soil. In the organic world and the sustainable world, you're feeding the soil to feed the plants.
Right.
Okay.
So that's where his downfall was. So anyway, soil is important to your plants. One thing you can do is you can use free resources like leaves, coffee grounds, and then chemical and seed-free grass clippings. Why chemical-free?
Well, chemical-free grass clippings. Mainly, a lot of people put weed and feed on their yards in the springtime throughout the growing season. This weed and feed, it feeds the plants. It kills the broadleaf plants or weeds that are in your yard. So what happens is that contains a chemical called 2,4-D. When that chemical is removed as a grass clipping and either put in your compost pile and or laid in your garden as a mulch, that 2,4-D residue is still prevalent even through the composting process. So when it waters, or when it rains, when you water, that chemical leaches into the soil, and what is the majority of the plants that you're growing in your garden? Broadleaf plants. And it kills those plants. So even if you have it through a composting procedure, that doesn't kill that persistent chemical, that 2,4-D residue. But if you're using an organic weed and feed that contains corn gluten meal, which is an inhibitor to seed germination in your lawn, you're fine. It's not an issue. One of our fertilizer sponsors, Sustain Natural Fertilizer, they have a corn gluten-based weed and feed, and corn gluten is just the byproduct of the beer industry when they extract all the juice out of the corn kernel, and then they turn it into a powder. If I understand that correct with that. So grass clippings are great if you know what has been used on that lawn. And they don't have seeds. Obviously, if you put seeds in your garden, you're going to have a garden full of weed seeds.
Right. And so, definitely. So one question we get a lot is, well, especially when we're talking about mulch, is wood chips. Not that people are adding wood chips to their soil to enhance it, but if you want to use them as mulch, is that good or bad? And obviously, wood chips do take a lot longer down than any other mulch or additive that you're putting to your soil.
You can add it with what is called the back-to-Eden garden method, where you layer inches and sometimes, in some instances, feet, a foot or two of wood chips on a growing surface, and you allow it to begin to break down and decay and feed the soil. It works itself into the soil. You do not, and this can take several years to make it happen. You do not want to get wood chips and then till them into your garden, because yes, the wood chips will break down into the soil, but they rob the soil of the available nitrogen in order to have that breakdown process that occurs to get that black soil that we're familiar with in the center of a giant wood pile that's been sitting there for 5 or 10 years. So wood chips are great. They make great mulch to suppress weeds and hold moisture. Those are really good for like asparagus beds, raspberry patches, anything perennial, rhubarb, something like that, where you're not going to disturb the soil for years upon years. You can layer that down, and it works really well. Again, walk paths works well as that. But don't mix it in the soil, because it will rob the soil of nitrogen, and then you're going to have to supplement that with something else. Let's talk about coffee grounds.
Yeah, coffee grounds add a good boost of nitrogen to your soil. you can get them, you can save your own, or you can go to a local coffee shop. A lot of times if you give them a call ahead of time, say, if I bring a bucket, will you save coffee grounds for me? And they are more than happy to usually. And then you go drop it off, pick it up a few days later, and you're good to go.
And the coffee grounds, against common belief, coffee grounds do not make your soil acidic. The coffee process removes nearly all of the acidity in that bean or in the grounds. The coffee grounds is a good nitrogen supplement for or a green product for your compost pile. It'll allow it to heat up quicker, as well as it's good for an organic matter, and worms love it.
Right. If you feel like you're not having enough worms in your soil, maybe you dig, you don't find a lot of worms, you just find a few here or there. If you add coffee grounds, the worms are going to come and find it and work the coffee grounds in. If you feed the worms, they will come.
Right. You work the coffee grounds in because they do contain about some instances up to 2% nitrogen, and you just broadcast them on your garden, that nitrogen will evaporate into the atmosphere and you'll lose that. So you want to work them into, and this is good for containers, for raised beds, for traditional ground. It doesn't have to be just ground garden. Again, with containers, you don't have that worm population, especially in 5, 10, 15 gallon containers, and you don't need it because you're adding that good enriched organic compost or that good rich soil that you're in that container. You don't want to put worms in there because worms have a very unique living conditions. If it's too wet, they go deeper. If it's too wet, they go deeper. If it's too dry, they go deeper. In a container, if you overwater, they're going to sit there and drown. Or if you let it dry out too much, they're going to die from dehydration. So you keep that in mind. What else do we have here? Let's talk about greens and browns when it comes to a homemade compost from a hot compost pile. That is the key if you're going to do a compost pile.
Right, because that hot compost is going to kill off those weed seeds, and that's what you want. If you just do a more passive cold compost like we do,
and we're changing that.
And we're changing that, but as we currently have, we still have weed seeds in our compost. So, whatever works for you, but the hot compost, you need a high amount of greens, which are the nitrogen, so that would include things like coffee, the coffee grounds, green
kitchen
scraps, grass clippings, any of those type of things. And then the browns are things like if you had like shredded paper or twigs or even leaves.
Dry material. 50% of each is ideal. The perfect compost pile, what the professionals say, is 1 cubic yard, which is 3 foot by 3 foot cube. But obviously we don't always have that size compost pile. So anything that you can make, and then some people say turn it every 3 to 5 days. Other people say let it sit there. So whatever, you've got to do your research on that particular aspect of it to make it work best for you. But there's some free and cheap resources in which you can use to build your soil. When we come back, we're going to talk about things you need to know before you buy your vegetable seeds. We told you last week why not to buy them from certain sites. Today we're going to talk about things you need to be aware of before you just start clicking on the checkout button on the website right after this.
Got a question? Email the show at twvgshow@gmail.com.
The number one key to healthy, productive plants are the roots. Starting from seed to full-grown plants, rootmaker.com has the answer. From seed starting trays with an innovative design that air prunes the roots, creating a fabulous root system, never again will you have root-bound plants, to multiple gallon grow bag sizes to raised beds. Rootmaker.com has your grow needs covered. Visit rootmaker.com.
Pomona's Universal Pectin is high-quality pectin that gels reliably with low amounts of any sweetener. If you're trying to reduce the amount of sugar in your diet, you'll love Pomona's Universal Pectin. Now you can make healthy homemade jams and jellies sweetened to your taste. You can use sugar, honey, or any alternative sweetener you'd like. Pomona's Universal Pectin keeps indefinitely when stored in an airtight container. Easy to use, versatile, and comes with directions and recipes in every box. Find out more and where to buy at PomonaPectin.com. Available at most natural food stores and online. Mycorrhizae is a beneficial fungus from PlantSuccessOrganics.com that will greatly increase your plant's germination, ability, and healthier root structure. You can increase seed sprouting, root growth, and general plant germination. Mycorrhizae can be used with hydroponic root cutting, seed sprouting, cocoa coir, and soil. PlantSuccessOrganics.com carries powder, granule, and tablet form of mycorrhizae. Increase the level of mycorrhizae in your soil to give your plant the optimal opportunity to produce incredible harvests. For more information and to purchase, visit PlantSuccessOrganics.com.
Tall Earth Wood Treatment All-in-One Preservative and Stain offers lifetime protection and creates a unique silver-aged wood finish. All ingredients are non-toxic, eco-friendly, perfect for garden beds and veg trucks. Find out more at tallearth.com. Free shipping on all orders. Shield and Seal Vacuum Sealers and the highest quality vacuum sealing products. Unique black and clear and all black bags, protecting your produce and product better than traditional bags. Find out more at shieldandseal.com. Your soil is alive. This garden fun fact is sponsored by ManureTea.com. Get your 3-pack today. Drop the tea bag in water, let steep, and feed your soil, not your plants. 100% organic. Find out more at ManureTea.com. There are more microorganisms in 1 teaspoon of soil than there are people on the earth. It's alive, and in all seriousness, that fact might make you a little itchy. But microbes are important for keeping your soil full of nutrients and allowing your plants to grow in your garden.
I want a garden center that listens to and understands my needs.
I want to buy my gardening products from a local business with strong ties to the community.
All I want is a garden center that truly values their customers.
It seems like everyone is selling plants these days, but I'm having a hard time finding quality.
I take pride in my garden, so I want my garden center to take pride in their products.
Where will you be going for all of your gardening needs this season? Blue Mel's Garden Center. We are your answer.
Blue Mel's, 4930 West Loomis Road, 414-282-4220. The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener is brought to you by the following: Handy Safety Knife, BioSafe, Tall Earth, Chapin Manufacturing Incorporated, The Plant Booster, Ivy Organics, Woodman's Market, Blue Mel's Landscaping Garden Center. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support.
Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show with your hosts Joey and Holly Baird.
Welcome back to the program. So glad you've taken a little time out of your Saturday morning to talk gardening with us. I think it was a year ago at this time we had a 10-degree low temperature on the second show for that night. I have to go back and check my records, but I believe it was that cold. It wasn't that cold this morning, and I'm sure happy it's not, because I want to get stuff in the garden, but it's going to be a while. But in order to do that, we're going to have to get seeds. And in order to get seeds, there's some things that maybe many of you have not purchased seeds yet, okay? And some of you maybe have. So we're going to go over some of the things you need to be aware of before you just go to migardener.com or the local garden center and start putting some seeds in your cart and checking out. Because some of you do this for a hobby. Some of you just have a few containers on the patio, porch deck, or backyard, or have a small garden. I guess you could call us professional gardeners to a certain level. We do this full time. I do this full time with the gardening and the production of the radio program and all of our video series. So we've done this. We're engulfed in that. You know, we don't really see the forest from the trees because we're in the middle of the forest sometimes. And when you pull back and look at, okay, this is things that everybody needs to be aware of. That's how we come up with some of these topics. And we were like these. What we're going to go over, we were like this starting. Years ago when we started, we became kind of overwhelmed, and we felt that if we were overwhelmed, that you might be overwhelmed, and if you're not, it's a good refresher for all of us. So
what you need to know before you buy seeds? Well, first of all, you want to pick what you like to eat because it's common sense, but really grow what you like to eat. If you're growing something and you're not sure why you like to eat it or why you like to grow it, if you don't eat it, you give it away, you get frustrated with it, then quit growing.
Right.
Like, why waste your time? So be realistic about what you're buying and also, what you're growing. So just because somebody in your family grew, jalapeno peppers and you cannot stand jalapeno peppers, then quit growing them.
So, if you get like sucked in because of the picture on the front of the seed pack, oh, that's pretty. Well, do you even like eggplant? yeah, it's a Turkish eggplant, but do you even like it? At least go and buy one from the, Outpost or Woodman's or Beans and Barley and find out if you even like eggplant. And if you do, then you can go on the procedure of trying to start it from seed or buy the seed start. So that's important. A lot of people will simply purchase seeds because, the package, look at that pretty tomato or look at that pretty whatever it is. And then they realize, I don't really like this that much.
Right. And when you're buying these seeds, you're going to see hundreds of seeds and you might get excited. You might say something to the eggplant like, I had this really good eggplant parmesan one time. Are you necessarily going to make that? Maybe not.
Do you know how to make it?
Do you know how to make it? Maybe not. So keep that in mind. Another thing is, like, as I mentioned, be realistic with what you buy. Do you, say you are a small patio gardener or just like a hobby gardener, and all of a sudden you have like 40 packs of seeds with 100 seeds in each. Maybe you have a friend, family, or neighbor that you can split those seeds with or trade or something like that.
Right. I help with a small little garden group over in the Oak Creek area, and the members all have very small areas to grow. So they purchased seeds from MI Gardener. They decided what they wanted, and they divided them up because they didn't need 25 tomato seeds, so each of them got 5. They didn't need 1,000 lettuce seeds, so they each took several pinches of lettuce seeds and put them in little bags so they each can have something to grow in their garden. So they're not, being overwhelmed with too many seeds. Now, if you have too many seeds at the end of your growing season, now for like leaf lettuce and cool weather crops, peas, radishes, those type of things, you can plant those again later in the summer for a fall harvest. But you can take them and put them in a zip top bag, remove as much air as you can out of it, put it in a mason jar, slide it in the back of the fridge, date it what year it is, and they'll be fine. Some of the world seed banks are kept below, in Alaska or somewhere like that,
Alaska.
Under a mountain and they go in dormancy. They're so cold there, and they keep there for years and hundreds of years, I guess.
Another thing you can do, say you have a whole mess of seeds that are maybe like 10 years old, because seeds do lose their germination property 10% year after year. So say you have a whole bunch of seeds, you can make bird seed. Just mix them all up, and then you have bird seed, and you can do bird feeders, or if you know somebody who has bird feeders, just give them that seed, and the birds will be happy.
Right, and also if you can always plant those seeds. Now, if they're 4 or 5 years old, the resources online say parsnips will lose their germination about a year. A year is about all you got. Well, we had some that was 3 or 4 years old, and we had just underwhelming amounts of germination. We planted them super thick because, we've got like very little to no germination here. And I had hundreds of parsnips I had to wean out and snip off because they all came up. So do plant those older seeds. I mean, if they're 10 or 15 years old, obviously, yes, they're not going to be good, but we're talking 3 or 4 years old. Plant those, but also get some new seeds so you're not relying on that 100% of, all I've got is old seeds here. I hope they come up. 99 cents a pack over at MI Gardener. It's well worth investing in new seeds as well as using those old seeds up. And, again, know how much space you have to plant. And if you don't, figure out, I've got a small plot in the backyard. It's 50 square feet. What realistically can I put in 50 square feet? There's a lot of great charts online that, gauge this out, whether in a square foot method or row planting, on what you can and can't do in those particular locations and what's best and for small gardens.
Also, think about this. If you typically buy starts and, maybe you want to transition to starting your own seeds, or there's only certain seeds you buy, keep that in mind too. If you might think, I'm going to start these seeds, but realistically you don't have the time or the resources to do it, then don't buy those seeds. Buy the seeds that you actually are going to use, and then buy your starts.
Right. We talked about last week things that are good to start indoors, things are not good things to direct sow, which means plant them at the appropriate time in the ground and not transplant, and they're mainly your root crops and a lot of your leaf lettuce. So you can do that as well. But yeah, what you're saying is very true when it comes to seed starting. And there's nothing wrong with just going out and buying starts. If you want to buy everything at Blue Mills, there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you want to be able to, Blue Mills doesn't carry some fall crops, such as, the cool weather crops, leaf lettuce in the fall. So you might want to supplement that with some seeds so you can get that going as well. Anything else that we've forgot here when it comes to
just as we had mentioned, check your sources.
Right.
As we had talked about last week, make sure that you are buying from a reliable source.
If you missed that, it's on the website. Reasons why not to buy from Amazon and eBay, sites like that. And as we were posting that on social media, we had a reply come back from I don't know where she's at in the United States.
I don't know where she is either, but she was freaking out a little bit because she bought her seeds from overseas, right? Is that what she said? Yeah.
And she's not sure if they'll come, or if once they come that she will get a visit from the United States Department of Agriculture agent a few days later. So she had a meme of a guy hyperventilating into a bag. So that was.
It was a GIF.
A GIF. Okay.
Yeah. But either way,
we brought it to light.
Yeah, we brought it to light,
and that's what we need to do.
And that's what we want to do. And if you have friends or family or whatever, definitely, tell them the same thing. So just keep in mind what you're buying and why you're buying it and where it's coming from.
So when we come back, Lisa Rose will be with us right after this.
Just tuning in? Here's what you missed.
Soil is the life of your garden, whether in containers, raised beds, or the ground.
Let's talk about the low-cost to no-cost way to build the soil. Homemade compost from a hot compost pile, that is the key.
What do you need to know before you buy seeds? Pick what you like to eat. That may seem like common sense, but really, grow what you like to eat. Be realistic with what you buy.
Up next, author Lisa Rose.
For full shows and highlights, go to thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com. Use Twitter to reach Joey and Holly at TWVG Show or hashtag TWVG.
Wouldn't you love to get more from your growing space? By utilizing the square foot garden method and properly spacing your plants, Seeding Square will optimize and organize your veggie garden to grow more greens and less weeds. The square foot color-coded seed spacer is a great tool for any garden, ground container, or raised bed, and all experience levels, even little green thumbs. For more information, visit seedingsquare.com. Seeding Square is gardening made simple.
Garden seeds do not have to cost a fortune, just 99 cents at migardener.com. Now with over 450 varieties of non-GMO, heirloom, and organic flower, vegetable, and herb seeds available year-round. Pay less and get more seeds. Shipping as low as $2.50. That just makes sense. Go to migardener.com for seeds and garden needs, tools, and special blend fertilizers. migardener.com. It's that simple. Family owned and operated.
I know you're looking for natural and organic food, but at a great price. I found the place. Woodman's has what you need. Woodman's offers a huge natural and organic selection with some of the area's largest organic meats, produce, and dairy departments. Shop consciously, but it won't break the bank. They have aisles of all the organic food, snacks, and treats you've been looking for, so you and your family can eat healthier without overpaying. Visit their Milwaukee area store locations, Kenosha, Menominee Falls, Oak Creek, and Waukesha, or visit woodmans-food.com to find the nearest location to you.
Zaz Products, offering great quality supplements that can help personal health and increase longevity. Committed to bringing you the highest quality products at the lowest price. Find out more at zazproducts.com. Rebel Green, responsibly made natural products that are good for you and the environment. Made in the USA, plant-based, vegan, and always toxic-free. Find out more at rebelgreen.com. Flame Engineering, home of the Weed Dragon, the perfect propane torch kit for home and garden use. For killing weeds, no need to pull or spray. 100 other uses. Find out more at flameengineering.com.
Haas Tools wants to help you grow your own food. From seed starting supplies, hand tools, drip irrigation, harvesting equipment, and a complete line of all-natural pest control solutions, they've got you covered. Keep your garden weed-free with their time-tested, American-made wheel hose that are built to last a lifetime. And their precision garden seeders have proven design for planting a wide variety of seeds. Haas Tools has what you need to get the most out of your growing space, large or small. Free shipping and outstanding customer service. Shop online or request a free catalog at HaasTools.com.
The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show is brought to you by the following: Haas Tools, Tree Diaper, Root Maker, Seeding Square, Rebel Green, Dripping Springs Oyas, Zaz Products, Shield and Seal, Pomona Universal Pectin, Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support.
Now back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Garden Radio Show with your hosts, Joey and Holly Baird. Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show with your hosts, Joey and Holly Baird.
Spring is coming, and I know this for a couple of reasons. One, because the calendar says it's going to in a couple of days. And two, Blue Mel's Landscape and Garden Center has been posting on social media pictures of all their dome-grown plants. The staff is getting ready for you and for me, for us, to go get them to make our gardens beautiful. They have hundreds of selections to choose from, and in just a matter of weeks, we'll be able to go there and decide which ones we want for our landscape. Where is Blue Mel's located at?
Blue Mel's is at 4930 West Loomis Road in Greenfield, and they are at bluemills.com. You can call 414-282-4220, just south of Layton on Loomis Road, and they have their coffee shop there, too.
Yeah, open year-round as well. Well, Holly, let's go to the Ivy Organics 3-in-1 Plant Guard hotline and bring in our next guest.
Lisa M. Rose is an herbalist, forager, and author with a background in anthropology and a professional focus on community health and local food systems. She has gathered her food, farming, and wild plant knowledge from many people and places along a very delicious journey. Welcome to the program, Lisa.
Thank you. I'm pleasure to be on the show this morning.
Well, we're happy that you've taken time out of your day to inform and educate Holly, myself, and all of our listeners on what you do and what your book's all about.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.
So what exactly is foraging, or also known as wildcrafting?
So I think a lot of people are familiar with foraging, just growing up in the Midwest by gathering berries along the trail side, or perhaps gathering dandelion flowers, making dandelion wine, and dandelion salads. So really the ideas of wildcrafting and foraging is using the wild plants around us for food and medicine.
Many of us deal with what we call creeping Charlie in our gardens. You have a good use for it. What is it, and how can we benefit from this very invasive weed, I call it?
It's a funny plant that you asked me about this morning. Actually, I was on an earlier call with local gardeners, and creeping Charlie came up. And yes, a dastardly growing plant across the lawn landscape for many people. But it actually is edible and has a flavor profile that's similar to peppermint. And it can be used, it's not something as sweet as peppermint can be, but it can be used as a tea, or even if you're, in the yard doing garden work and you happen to have some on the lawn, you can take a bite and chew it. And it's especially helpful for those with seasonal allergies. It can dry up a runny nose. The tea is quite astringent, and it can be used as a medicinal plant.
Well, okay, you bring that up. Two questions I have on that. One, is there any plant that looks like creeping Charlie that may be harmful to us? And two, obviously, if the plant has been sprayed with a chemical or weed and feed with a 2,4-D residue, you don't want to consume that. So we know the second one is what that is. But is there a plant that is resembling it that could be harmful if we misidentify it?
Those are great questions. The first, when you go ahead and identify creeping Charlie as a spreading mint plant that grows, comes out of the garden, you start to see it about the third week of April into May. And it has a notable aroma of mint when you crush it between your fingers. So that's one of the chief identifiers, one, before you put it in your mouth. Is it creeping Charlie? It's got that traditional peppermint square stem in the mint family plants, but it's that chief notable smell of mint that I would say that helps affirm that it's creeping Charlie. There are no poisonous lookalikes that can confuse you with it. There are lots of types of spreading lawn weeds that would grow alongside it, like the chickweeds, the dry mouse-eared chickweeds, and so on and so forth. But again, it's that notable peppermint smell that you want to look for to help affirm that it is the creeping Charlie. One thing I will call out, and you made a good point. One, if you've had a treated lawn, you want to make sure that, that's something that you've had enough of, half-life of days. That I wouldn't necessarily recommend gathering wild plants from a treated yard space. And the second part of the creeping Charlie, it has an ability to take up lead. So I'm in urban Grand Rapids, and I'm really a big advocate for soil testing, especially for gardeners, of course. Foraging, you're less likely to be doing that kind of soil testing, and lead can, jump around from spot to spot. So if you believe that you're in an area or by your home or in a place where you've had known issues with lead in the soil, that's a plant I just avoid entirely, along with the docks and a couple of other plants that have a propensity to take up heavy metals.
And see, when we do this program, we learn a lot. There's a lot of plants out there nature has created to fix soil problems, whether man-made or, naturally occurring. So that's very interesting to learn about that it can help fix soil that contains some of that issues.
Yeah. And your call out to that is absolutely correct, that plants can help, remediate soil problems. And so as a forager, you want to learn what those plants are. And, any plant that we're eating for nutrient density, like for the iron, for the magnesium, for the calcium, those plants are going to also have higher concentrations of heavy metals in the soil. So when I, do a class on, where to forage, how to understand land, I always really stress to learn the land, to really get a sense of where you are, get to know, I'm in an urban area, so we do have a lot of brownfield redevelopment zones. And some of those areas are places I just wouldn't gather plants, again, that have that propensity to take up heavy material or metals like lead.
Now, what is the biggest mistake people make when foraging?
Well, there can be bad mistakes that can lead to harm. So, misidentifying plants, that's really a common thing. The hubris that can come from, you think you might know XYZ plant when there is, in fact, poisonous lookalikes. I think of wild carrot and poison hemlock as being two plants that can look similar to someone that's not familiar with the plants. That can result in really with terrible consequences. Poison hemlock, of course, is a neurotoxin and can lead to death in some cases. Right now it's early spring and the hellebore are coming up through the ground and they look similar to, a wild leek, or also known as ramps. And ramps are very popular for the food community, a very trendy wild edible. But for those that aren't familiar with their botany and with their plants, can easily mistake those leeks for hellebore. And again, another neurotoxin. It can be a problem. So that's one. Always be certain before you put it in your mouth that you know what the plant is.
Well, that leads into the next question. What is some of the plants that you do not recommend for beginners? My first thought would be mushrooms. Would be one that I would recommend not to, unless you're with a mushroomologist. I know that's not the scientific term, but you cannot just look at a book and go, okay, that's what I have here. You need somebody with experience to explain to you, here's the characteristics in what you're looking for.
Absolutely. Mushrooms, fungi, they're really complex. It's one of the Earth's amazing gifts are the complexities of the fungus that's on the Earth. And, I know my morels, so that's one I'm pretty confident in. And I know my maitake, my chicken of the woods, and hen of the woods. And I stick to those three. I have friends that are amazing mycologists that know their mushrooms. And they're mushroom people. I'm a wild and weedy edible person that loves the things like the garlic mustard and the nettles and the burdocks. And if I really want to get down and dirty with mushrooms, I definitely go out with the experts. So I'm really, again, just humble. The natural world there's a lot of things that are amazing and safe that you can be playful with. But then, there are a lot of things that just unless you're an expert, and even experts aren't experts, right? So, there's just a lot of things that you need to know with the mushroom world.
Definitely. Now, where did you learn about these medicinal plants and properties?
I've been learning, so I'm from Michigan. So I grew up born and bred here in the Great Lakes area, and I grew up along the lakeshore of Lake Michigan. And we were outside all the time as my family grew up as sailors. My dad was an engineer, and he always would say that the natural world is the best. There's no better engineer than what you can see in the systems of the natural world. He said, so when you watch the natural world, again, to that soil remediation, it has ways to resolve its own issues. It has ways, the ecosystem, ecology, it's an amazing world. And so everything, I approached plants, I approached food, I've approached wetlands, our watersheds, with that curiosity. And along with that came, my mother had a garden. I started to learn how to use teas. Always in a kitchen. I've lived in Napa, worked in Napa Valley, worked in restaurants, worked on farms. And so I've had a lot of exposure to different people and approaches to food, and how, communities have used them as medicine. And that was right, one of my interest areas.
And before, we had Western medicine, that's what the world ran on was, for example, Native Americans, they knew what plant did what and what plant not to use and all of this stuff, and we've lost that because we just go to the pharmacy and get a pill that's supposed to fix one problem but can cause 4 others. Exactly.
And I think what I'm seeing is, I have a public library program later today, and, I have over 100 people coming. They want to learn approaches to take care of themselves. Some people don't have health care. I mean, health care is an issue. So I love medicine. I love my physicians. I love scientists. But I also believe that it's important to know how to take care of yourself. It's important to know how to take care of a cold or how to take care of a flu, how to make chicken soup. All health in my world starts in the kitchen. So how do you incorporate, and to your point, across time, we've kept gardens, we've done cooking, now we go out to eat, now we have a lot of fast food. And don't get me wrong, I do love to go out to eat, and I love a cheeseburger. Right. But, to have these things in my toolkit, I feel much more empowered about my health. I know where my food comes from. If I need to go into surgery, I've got great physicians. I'm lucky to have health care. I'm lucky to have a good doctor's network. But I want to manage, I have my own chronic health issues. I want to be able to manage those. And food and herbal medicines, physical therapies, massage, acupuncture, walks in the woods, those are all part of that toolkit. And it makes me very empowered over knowing how to take care of myself. And I think other people want that. They're seeking out that kind of empowerment over their own bodies. So.
Definitely. So real quick, how can we find out your books and more about you?
Great. My book is, both books, Midwest Foraging and Midwest Medicinal Plants, are available on all large-scale e-retailers, but also available where your own books are sold. I love the local bookseller. So Midwest Foraging and Midwest Medicinal Plants can be ordered at your own local bookshop. Definitely encourage that. Or checking out my website, and it's got lots of little stories on foraging and wild plant adventures at burdockandrose.com.
Well, Lisa, we greatly appreciate your time and the knowledge in which you have shared with us and our listeners, and thank you for doing that.
Oh, it's a pleasure, and feel free to give me a call anytime you want to chat more about dastardly weeds or delightful cranberries or any of the wild plants that are around us.
Thank you, Lisa.
And after this, we'll be right back with your garden questions and our garden answer.
If you have a gardening question, now is the time to call in. on the ivorganics.com 3-in-1 Plant Guard hotline at 414-444-5250.
An Oya is an unglazed porous clay pot with a short neck and a wider belly. Bury your Oya neck deep in your raised bed, container, or ground garden and let the Oya do your watering by releasing water as needed. How? By soil moisture tension for all you techies out there. This is an eco-friendly, efficient, ancient way to water your plants using up to 70% less water than other irrigation methods. It saves you time and is easy to install. Find a retailer through DrippingSpringsOyas.com. Smart watering, easy gardening.
Do you have a problem with deer or small herbivores eating your vegetation? There is a natural solution that is safe for your pets and family. Bobex is the answer. An environmentally friendly solution to protect your plants, will not wash off, and is guaranteed. Bobex Deer was independently tested against 9 known competitors and rated 93% effective, second only to a physical barrier. Bobex can be used on all types of ornamentals, trees, and shrubs. Ask for it by name at your local independent garden center. Find out more, visit bobex.com. BOBBEX.com.
Beans and Barley Market and Cafe, a neighborhood specialty grocery store for the east side and greater Milwaukee area where you can find all you need, from fresh produce to bakery to organic frozen dinners, from wine to fresh squeezed carrot juice, a health food store with hundreds of products, vitamins, supplements, bath and body items, magazines, cards, books, and a knowledgeable staff. Catering available, open daily at 8 a.m. The restaurant serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week with a menu of good, healthy, homemade food, including vegetarian and non-vegetarian specialties. 1901 East North Avenue, Milwaukee, 414-278-7878, and online at beansandbarley.com.
Root Assassin, a garden tool that does all the root functions with its advanced shovel that has serrated edges on both sides. Find out more information at rootAssassinShovel.com. The Gardener's Hollow Leg, the debris and harvesting bag you wear, comes with its own belt attachment, perfect for doing light pruning, weeding, harvesting on the ground or on a ladder, and many other uses. Find out more at thegardenershollowleg.com. Save 10% by using the word veggies at checkout. Eco Garden Systems is a revolutionary way to grow food. A fully contained raised platform with a conventional watering system, solar power unit optional. Made from recycled material in the U.S., Eco Garden Systems raised garden bed offers sustainable organic gardening that is environmentally sound, quick and easy to set up, maintain, and fun to use. Fill your garden with soil and plant your seeds. Your Eco Garden will take care of the rest. Can set up in backyard, patio, and even your driveway, any level surface. For more information, visit EcoGardenSystems.com. Use coupon code WIVEG125 to save $125 and get free shipping, a $250 value on the purchase of an Eco Garden original garden unit, available only in stone color. Purchases must be made to the website EcoGardenSystems.com/store. Offer valid through December 31st, 2018, available to the contiguous United States.
Hi, I'm John Lewandowski, retail manager of Blue Mel's Garden and Landscape Center. Now, I'm not going to tell you about our awesome dome-grown plants, our beautiful pottery, or our 40 varieties of landscape materials. What I am going to tell you is that Blue Mel's is a local, independent, family-owned garden center that truly cares about your garden or landscape project. So if you're looking for that one garden center that actually cares about you, come to Blue Mel's Garden and Landscape Center. We've been treating our customers like family since 1955.
Blue Mel's, 4930 West Loomis Road, 414-282-4220. The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show is brought to you by the following: Haas Tools, Tree Diaper, Root Maker, Seeding Square, Rebel Green, Dripping Springs Oyas, Zaz Products, Shield and Seal, Pomona Universal Pectin. Find all sponsors at thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com and thank them for their support.
Now back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Garden Radio Show with your hosts, Joey and Holly Baird.
If you got a question, you're more than welcome to give us a call on the Ivy Organics 3-in-1 Plant Guard hotline. Holly, how do they do that, and what is Ivy Organics 3-in-1 Plant Guard?
Ivy Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard naturally protects plants against damaging sunburn, insects, and rodents, protects newly installed plants and trees, shields pruned and damaged surfaces for use on your roses, fruit and nut trees, ornamental trees, and shrubs. This product is non-toxic, environmentally safe, and organic. For more information, visit ivorganics.com. You can call in right now with your questions to 414 444-5250.
And we've had a number of questions come in on the email, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Email is twvgshow@gmail.com. Twitter is twvgshow or hashtag twvg anytime. Mitch asked, can I make pasta without using all-purpose flour, as you talk about in many of your videos? Alternative to all-purpose flour, is that possible?
It depends on the flour. You can look up, gluten-free, grain-free homemade pasta recipes online, or if you don't want to use all-purpose flour like a whole grain, there's recipes like that as well.
Well, let's briefly name off some of these alternatives to all-purpose flour. There's nut flours and
right, nut flours, bean flours, whole grain flours, even seed flours, things like that.
Well, pumpkin seed flour, pumpkin flour, obviously those have to be supplemented with actual flour, but those are different alternatives there. How long does it take for a tree, wood chips, to decompose if I run it through a normal wood chipper?
It can take 2 to 3 years to break down about that.
If you're just going to pile it in a pile in the back corner, right.
Right, so that's why something like we had mentioned before, the back to Eden method, when you're doing that, that's something of a permaculture idea. That's if you own your home or are on a plot where you are going to invest that time and energy into that.
Now, if you just take those wood chips and intermingle them in with your compost pile, yeah, it's going to rob some of the nitrogen, but there's enough stuff going on in that compost pile, it's going to break down probably 5 to 6 months if you have a properly built compost pile that gets about 170 degrees core temperature. So that's one way you can use up some of your wood chips, or if you are able to get wood chips, if you shred them, or you got a wood stump that's been ground off in the front of the house or wherever. So,
right.
Yeah.
So this person wants to know, why do you let grass grow in your garden bed? I have seen some in your past videos. I guess, like, why do we let the weeds grow, kind of?
Well, not everybody has time to spend 24/7 in the garden. Let's be honest. We're just like everybody else. Weeds are going to come up. It's not a PBS program that we produce on a weekly basis. We're realists. This happens to everybody. We have gotten better over the years with controlling the weeds by adding mulches like shredded leaves, dry grass clippings.
Even cardboard.
And working the soil and those weeds in which have come up in the past that come up the next year, removing them before they go to seed. When the seeds disperse, then you have hundreds and thousands of seeds now that have been spread upon your garden, which you didn't have before. So.
And that's the thing I should mention. We're not PBS, or we're not home and garden television. I work full time outside of the home, and while Joey works on this full time, we still have, things that we have to do. We don't have a team of people to come in and weed our garden.
What's that like?
I wish I knew.
Another question we had come in is, well, it's not so much a question, but a reference to your Canning What You Grow videos, Holly, and we have 45 on the website. If you go to the Watch Us tab, you can scroll down and see all of these basics of canning or Canning What You Grow videos. And it's thank you for the blueberry jam Canning What You Grow video. This will be my first year canning this recipe. My first since I just made some maple syrup a couple of days ago. Thanks again. I've subscribed to your YouTube channel and other social media platforms, and I'll be checking out the rest of your videos.
And that maple syrup blueberry jam, I think it won me a second place ribbon at the state fair. So if you get a chance, go check it out.
Right. And we have one more compliment that I find was very interesting. Ronald C., he says, I love listening to your podcast in my home here in Zone 9B in Central Florida, USA. I am blessed to be able to garden 365 days a year. And I have more than a dozen raised beds. So people all over the country and the world listen to this program. Even though the information may not be relevant at the time where Ronald is at in Florida, you just have to tweak some of the dates and times that apply it for your particular growing area. Okay, I think we've got time for a couple of more questions. Let's go with this one. Why do mushrooms grow in my vegetable garden? And will it hurt my vegetables? I also have this problem with my seed starts. I have mushrooms coming up. I've pulled them, but they continue to come up.
And we've experienced this with our Kellogg Garden products as well.
Right. So in gardening organically, one has to think differently than conventional gardening. Mushrooms are naturally occurring in all soil, but can be more prevalent in organic soil. They bloom over on decaying matter. So there's a lot of decaying matter in organic soils. We tend to notice them when we transition from warm months into cooler or from cooler into warm. You may have to back off on watering a little bit. The mycelia, which is the roots, they do grow on that decaying matter, so kind of think about that. Most of the time, if you reduce the amount of watering in that area, they will disappear in a few days.
But there's nothing wrong with it.
No, it's just like a healthy...
just don't eat them.
Yeah, don't eat them.
But yeah, once you see that, you know, and if you do straw bale gardening, you know that there is a time where as the bale internally breaks down, the conditioning process, if everything goes well, you'll get mushrooms in the straw bales as well, and that's a very good sign. So nothing to be worried about, whether in your potting mix or in your garden. Just the moisture is probably something that needs to be looked at, the application of moisture. Let's see here. What do you got for another one here?
One of my potted horseradishes is going to seed, but I have not found anything in relation to its seeding. Should I let it seed and collect it, or cut it off and chunk it, which means like chunk it up to propagate? Yeah, divide it. Since horseradish is an invasive plant anyways. Can I keep the seed and eat it? First time year I've grown it. I have it growing in many spots due to the roots busting through the bottoms of the pot and growing into the ground. I wanted to make fire cider and have a hard time finding it, so I planted many eyes. I'll be more careful about what type of pot because, well, obviously we know horseradish grows pretty quickly. Any info greatly appreciated. Thanks for the informational video.
Well, we couldn't find if the seeds were edible.
Right.
We did a research. There's if you don't know and you can't find it, don't eat them.
Right.
But the leaves of the horseradish are edible because they are part of. They're similar to arugula or kale, and they can be eaten raw or cooked depending on your preference. They're part of the brassica family, so they fall in that category of cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower.
But you can start the horseradish from the seed, so she can save the seed and then start the horseradish from the seed if she wanted to.
Right. And she's got it growing in pots, so you want to keep in mind that just like if you're growing rutabaga or rhubarb in pots, after about 2 or 3 years, you're going to have to chunk it or divide it because it's going to take too much space and use up all that nutrients that's in the container. Obviously, you're fertilizing every year, but you want to keep that in mind as well. Well, we appreciate you tuning in the program. We're out of time, and we appreciate yours. Programming note, join us next week when we will discuss the difference and the advantages and disadvantages to the square foot gardening and traditional row gardening. We're going to talk about both aspects and which is better for one or the other application, as well as tomato varieties in which we recommend. We are growing 45 varieties this year, and we've grown many last year, and there's several of them that stand out from the crowd. As well as Jessica Walliser will be with us. She's got a new book out, Container Gardening Complete. It's a fabulous book for those of you who have limited space, who can only grow in containers. So until next week, for
Holly Baird,
I'm Joy Baird, and we will see you in the garden.
You have been listening to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show. Tell a friend and join Joey and Holly again next week so we can all grow together. The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show is a production of the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com in association with WI Garden Media Broadcasting, live from the WNOV 860 AM and the W293CX 106.5 FM, Courier Communication Studios in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.